All right. Good, I guess, morning or afternoon, everyone. I see people coming in. I don't see people coming in. All right, we'll hang out for a minute then. There we go. Now I see people coming in. Wonderful. All right, welcome. As I see folks coming in, let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to go ahead and my screen is already shared, so I don't need to do that. We're recording. All the things are done. Let me go ahead and kick off. So welcome, everyone. My name is Eric Wolmerink. If I see a few people who were just on my roadmap session, so hi. But if you haven't, my name is Eric. I've been with Decisions about 9 years. I'm currently the product manager over here at Decisions. But I've gotten a chance to do a little bit of everything. I got a chance to do our support and professional services. I did our IT ops. I trained for about 5 years and did some of our documentation and leadership there. But most recently, and what I'm most excited about today, is curating and understanding the future of Decisions. So our product roadmap, how that influences the features that we're adding to the tool, interviewing and talking to our customers about that, getting feedback on what you like and don't like about the product. All of that's part of my domain to ensure that Decisions is doing all the things that we want to do and make sure that we're the best automation tool out there. And so with that, that's my expertise here, as you see Thursday, June 1st. But what this is if it's your first time, the Lunch and Learn is a time where you get to sit with someone from Decisions, typically an expert, for an hour, and ask any question you want about the tool, about how to do something, about blockers you have. In my case, you can ask about the roadmap and what we're doing in the future, and how to answer any of those questions. Now, the best way to do that is I already see some in the chat coming in, is to either raise your hand in the participants panel and we can let you come off mute and talk. You can type a question into the question and answer into the webinar chat and I can look at them there. And we'll just kind of make this a conversation where we can talk and kind of make some choices here. Now, just as a quick announcement, in case you haven't heard, if you've attended these, you've heard this over and over and over again. But we set the end of life for all versions up to and including 6, which means that version 7 is our long-term support release and version 8 is our current major release. Now, what that means is that we will still be providing for 7 security and hot fixes, but we won't be adding any new features to 7. Anything that's a new feature will be added to version 8. Eventually, if you can see on the slide here, as of March 1st, we stopped general support for version 6 and earlier, as well as total end of life, which includes critical service support. As of today is the day. So if you are on 6 or earlier, this is the time to upgrade, and you can work with us or your CSMs to get that done. So just a little note. And then lastly, the next product roadmap session just happened. If you haven't seen this, the product roadmap is me, Eric Wolmerink, going through our roadmap for an hour from 11 to noon Eastern every other Thursday. So we just had it today on the 1st, which means that the next time we have this will be the 15th. We'll have that in 2 weeks there. But we'd love to hear feedback, hear questions that you have, demo the roadmap to you, show you some screenshots, that sort of thing. All right. Without further ado, looks like we already have Wade. You raised your hand first, and I don't see Manal on the call. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and ask your questions there?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so a request came to me of, we have a current process and we're going to have more processes that they're basically approvals, but I'm putting them in Decisions as a process. But the request was like, well, we want to see somehow see all the processes that are out there and the comments for them. Like they have this process, this status, maybe what the description is and all the comments. But every time we go through, there's like, those are 2 different types of reports, like a process report of what the status is and what the assignment is, and then the comments that go along with it. And then if you click on a process, it opens up a record where you can view that, but there's a bunch of stuff in there we don't need. So is there a way to edit that or anything?
Cool. So a couple questions there. Are you building this with like case entities, or are you doing it with full execution extensions? Do you know how you're storing all of that process data?
In a process folder.
Process folder. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we create,
unless I should be storing it as a case.
You're going to have the same problem that you're describing either way. But you could, like, a case is just a way to design and lay out the process state driven, whereas a flow execution is flow driven, right? Like the flow execution, you build the flow that dictates the process, the case entity, the states dictate the process. Either way, it's the same. Like you kind of gonna have the same issue where I want to see comments about that and understand. So I'm gonna follow your current paradigm. If we want to talk about states, we can. Let's just call this insurance approval. We have a name, due date, whatever, right? Doesn't matter what this is because we're looking at comments. Then I have a flow that you said has assignments and stuff, right?
Yeah, that it opens up, creates a process folder, then it has a flow that has an assignment with a form.
Cool. Oop. I'm on a very experimental build of decisions, so if things don't work, that's why. But let's just go ahead and create a process folder. I don't care if it's unique. We'll call this IA for insurance approval. We will create a dynamic flow name. I guess I need something to like kick off this, right? We'll just put in the request. Keep this real simple so I can get to your. So our flow name is gonna be, let's do some text merge here, because then I can run this many times. Request dot, where's my name? Name, due by, due date. Fine. Plus, there we go. And description, we'll just set for now as description. All right, cool. So we set up the process folder, and then let's add a task, and maybe add a comment, right? Let's add a comment first. Sorry, we'll get to your question, I promise. The comment could be, this is a comment by Eric, and the name, we'll just do by the submitter. Cool. All right, fine. Task, I don't know if I have any forms. Ugh, okay. Create a new simple form. Man, it's got more complicated than I expected. All right, done button. And we're done. Cool, I built an approval process. See, that's how easy it is at decisions. Okay, admin gets it. The assignment name is do the work. Action name is okay. All right, cool. Save, close, let's go run this guy. So we have here, we added a comment, we give it a request due today for need car insurance 2020 Chevy Silverado. It's a good truck, by the way. Run, cool. All right, I don't care if it's approved. So here's the problem, right? You can come into here, you can see this. Is this the comment you're trying to get, or are you trying to get like a summary of everything?
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, I guess the second question was this view. I was like, well, I'd like to change this view.
Totally.
But also, yeah, that the initial request from my bosses was like, we want to see all these processes and the comments, and how would they go about seeing those? Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So let's start with the first one, which is how do you edit this, which you absolutely can do. There's two ways. One is that this page is the default page for every process in decisions that you create as a process folder. You can change this page in the system folder for everything, but be very careful because that changes everything in that uses this page. But another way is if you come down here, how do I do this? Hold on. How do I do this here? Create, is it this one? I'm gonna try this. New process page. I think this is it. You can create a process page specifically for any of these types of processes. And so I could have the activity panel here and a pie chart here, which isn't going to load because I have no pie chart. But the idea being is you can use the page editor. And then if I remember correctly, when I come here, nope, how do I tie that? How do I tie that to? Maybe it's only for new ones. Let me try to create a new one really quick. Insurance for Honda. Let's see. You guys now know the two cars that I own. Run. Is that going to work? No. Okay. I'll have to double check the documentation, but in short, you have two options here, right? Like you can, maybe because this is invalid, I don't know. But you can set up for the process view a custom page that shows for just this process, just for my insurance approval process, or you actually can modify the generic one for every process folder ever. And if I do that, I think you can do it from here if you're an admin. Manage, is there an edit page? No, we must have hidden it.
Yeah, definitely want to do it per process would be good.
For just the
I mean,
process.
I mean, a lot of them will probably be the same, but I'm sure there's always that one or two that they're going to want different than the others.
Certainly. I thought this is how we did it. I might have to just go check the documentation. Because why isn't this showing? Either way, the one thing you can consider is if you look at this folder activity panel, and you look at the properties for it. So say you create your custom page, and you can choose the sorting, the headers, which states are shown, whether or not they're shown, what the order is on it. You can customize what's shown in that activity panel a little bit. Now we're actually adding some improvement here so that you can turn at the header level on and off like the different types of things inside of there. But today that doesn't work. So you can come into here, create your own custom page, and only show comments here so that you can go into the page and see only comments. That's one option. But the other option is, like, say you created a custom report, right? And you have the exact problem nailed. Is if I try to write a report on this process, my process folder, if I could spell, I don't have comments here, right? I don't have anything related to comments. So probably the way I would approach this is to create a linked report, or like a parent-child report, where one report would be a list of all my insurance approvals, and we could build this really quick. So this is going to have my entity ID, right, or my entity name, which has no data. That's wrong. Again, this is what I get for experimental builds of decisions. Maybe that's why it's not working. Okay. Bummer. That is interesting. But dang it. But the idea being, let me show you like an example that exists in the system. Security folder has one. Like, check out the groups one, right? I click a report on the left and it shows me data on the right. This is just two separate reports. This is a report of all groups. This is a report of all accounts. And when I click this group, the ID gets sent up to like a filter to a selection bus that this report is looking at. So this report is always watching this group ID, and when it changes based on user selection, it filters the right side report. You could do that for a process view very easily, where you could say, click the process and see only the comments on the right side report. But with the way you'd have to do it is you'd have to create two reports, which is what I started to do. One report for your insurance approvals, and then one report for your comments. So you grab, I think it's just comment data source. Yeah, something's broken with my reports. Let me try to get entity name. Yeah, okay, right? Here's a million comments you're gonna get. And then you just filter it by the folder selection, right? So you pass in the folder ID, entity folder ID, this is where it lives, from the selection bus, which means that you'd actually get it from another report. There's a whole document that walks you through how to do this, and if no one else has questions, I can absolutely do it on the call to show you. What do we call parent-child report filtering? There, that's a bar chart. Selection bus, maybe? Using runtime selection. Hold on, I'm going to find it. Reports filtered by row selection. There we go. Interesting name, report. Or report row selection using selection. Oh, that's row selection. But yeah, this is the idea, right? You have two reports. This report influences and selects the other one. There's a couple properties you enabled, like the one I chose, get values from other report. You also have to go to the first report and tell it what value it's sending up as a filter change. So I'm going to post this in the chat for you. But that would be another way, is you could just write your own report and put it on a page where you could click through and see, here's my process, here's the comments on it.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
So two separate reports, and then I'm displaying them within a page.
Correct.
And I just need to make sure to, on the comment one, to select to add that filter is from
Yep. Get values of the report, and then like on your first report, like I could, I wish I can't build this. This is frustrating. I could cheat this process a little bit. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. I'm gonna cheat. So because I can't use the data source, you would use your data source for whatever you've done. I'm going to use just the generic folder report source, and then I can filter it by name. Yeah. Okay. Created by, whatever. And then we're going to add a filter. Nope. Field filter. Entity name contains, I don't know if IA is going to work. There we go. Cool. All right, so I can create this report, and what you can do, or what you need to do, is you take like the ID column, because that's what the other one's going to look at, and you don't have to show it. You can hide it, but you do have to say here, send data as filter change source, and like I'll call this FID for folder ID. So now, whenever this is on a page, if I select a row, that folder ID gets sent up to the selection bus. Then your second report. So I actually shouldn't call this comment. I should call this folder report of IA. Okay, now we create a second report, and this is going to be comments. And this is the comment data source. And we'll just give the comment name here, entity name. Okay, you could add some of these other fields if you wanted more reporting here, but I want to know where entity folder ID, which is where it lives, equals, and get your value from FID. Now, if memory serves from my days back in training, I haven't done this in a while. If I create a page now, if I call it filtered comments, I don't know. Man, my naming is bad today too. Report on the left, report on the right. We can ignore the top. My left report is going to be my, select folder. Oh, pick or create. This is going to be my folder report. This is going to be my comments report. And I think that's all I have to do. We're going to find out. And then I could just display my page. Nope. Sorry. Manage page, add page, pick existing, this one, go. Let's see if it works. Okay, so now I click here. Didn't work. Oh, maybe because I have that left click action. My folder ID is getting sent up. Okay, that's roughly it. I want to figure this out. But does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that's great. Is there I guess now that I show me that, is there a way to default? Because I had this issue with some other things. Is there a way to default that page like that? Because you added that as a page at the front, and then you clicked on it, but then when you went back, it went back to list. Is there a way to default that as?
Oh yeah, totally. That is done. Where's that done? That's done in the order of the folder. Okay, so yeah, if you go to folder view, oh, and it's hidden. Okay, so you have to be an administrator of the folder, but you can go find what's called the page data. Where that's not it. Hold on. How do I set the page data? There it is. Oh, I guess it's not hidden anymore. If you edit the page data, you can set the order to 0, or actually the order to 1. How do I make this default? Do I do that? Oh, there's the way to do this. Oh, I'm gonna fail. Dang it. how do we set page data order? On folder settings, set default page. Oh, thank you. Gosh darn it. Yeah, here, manage, make this, no, it's got to be here. Other. Oh man, I am failing. Set name, set order? Nope, that's not it. I think Vitaly's right though. It's totally here. Maybe because this isn't a normal folder. Maybe because it's a designer folder. Under page dashboard. Maybe that's where it was. Manage page dash. Ah, there it is. My goodness. Thank you, sir. Manage page dashboard, set default. Oh, and then you can pick.
Oh, okay. So it has to be a regular folder, not a designer folder.
I did it on the designer folder too. You can do it on any
Oh,
folder.
okay. And it was, can you, where was that again?
Right click, manage, page/dashboard, set default page.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
Now I still want to figure this out. Go back to list view. I gotta get rid of the stupid slide out action, which I thought we removed by default, but clearly we didn't. That's gonna be under. I don't remember where this is. Anyway, I don't have to waste my time on this. That's okay. Anyway, make sense?
Yeah, that's very helpful. I think that's both of what I wanted, just a different page view of an individual record, and then the all-in-one, I think, was the original ask that they wanted. We just want to see every process and the comments that go along with it. Yeah, that's great.
Cool. Okay, cool. Ah, there it is. No action. All right, let's see if this fixes my problem. If it ever saves. Under grid view, yeah. Tally's on top of it today. All right, so I see it sending the folder, but I don't see my other report respecting it. So something I did is wrong, or maybe I'm using the wrong field. Any folder ID equals, yeah. All right, well, I can play with it later, but that's the idea. And that documentation will walk you through it.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, you bet, man. On the page, is it set to be a child? I thought so. Oh, on the page. Do you have to do it on the page too? I didn't think you had to do it on the page. I thought you just did it on the reports. Anyway, not important. That, like, I'm sure this document walks through it. Create another report, data source, group ID, filters. See, now I'm all. Yeah, all right, whatever. Cool. All right. Sweet. I see another hand raised. I'm pretty sure I know what this question is, but let me. I cannot. I cannot get you off mute. But Mirel, let's let you come off mute. There we go. Cool.
Yep. Yes, the second half of my question in the previous meeting, which is, what exactly is the remove flow step run data removing?
Yep. All right, cool. Yeah, let's talk about this. So she was on a call previously, which is why I'm laughing. But here's a scheduled job we've added in newer versions of 8 called remove flow step run data. And it's a scheduled job that runs, is it once a week, I think?
Yes, every 7 days.
Yeah, every 7 days to clear out one of our columns, one of our old data sources of data. Now, what that data is I can show you very quickly by going to administration, tools. I'm going to say flow management, but I could be wrong. Recent flow results. Cool. Here you go. This is no, that's not it. That's not it. Hold on, go back. It runs out flow step run data. Flow step run data is sourced here. Oh, I gotta find the rule or the report it's tied in. Flow step run data. It might be this data. Anyway, What the data is, and we could go look. Actually, here's the safer answer. Let's just do it this way. I can show you in the query editor. We have a table called flow step run data.
Okay.
This table stores. It is that report. Okay, I was right the first time. It stores the history of the execution of an individual step. This is mainly for recovery of processes under that event viewer, but it's also for a quick view of like audit performance auditing, right? If I need to know what steps are running because suddenly my environment is running very slow, I can look at the recent flow step results and see that, you know, the for each element is running 100,000 times. And then that's a quick way for me, or, you know, 19 times in my case. So this gives you a quick snapshot of all of the recent things that are running in your decisions environment. So as far as it pertains to process mining, this is not process mining data. This is kind of system administration data that looks at your flows and your steps and counts them and summarizes them for kind of auditing or like performance tracking purposes. It's used in one of these. Let me just duplicate. It's used in one of these reports under the event viewer, and that's really its only purpose. It's not used anywhere else in the decisions platform. The reason we have an automated scheduled job to remove it is that we found that, you know, I only have 8 items in there. If I had a flow that was looping through 100,000 records running 10 times a day, that table would be millions of records long by the end of the week. So we got to clear it out. So we started automatically clearing it out because nothing really uses that data past a week. It's gotta be this one. Recent flow results, right? No. Step run stats. Maybe it's this one. Oh, this is gonna drive me crazy. It's not stored workflows. It's not running flows. It's not recent flow results. That's flow data. Flow step data. Flow step timing. Ah, I found it. Woohoo! Okay, sorry. This report here. So it's just used in this event viewer for this report here to get you quick summaries of like flows that have run and their count of the steps that have run in those flow. So it's a metric tracking thing. But we added the scheduled job because it was growing our database a little too large. Some people want to keep this data, so we didn't just do it under the covers and automatically remove it like some other data sources. Some people like this summary of data, so they can go disable or remove that scheduled job if you want. Does that make sense?
Okay, so it's more, so the for each element, for instance, it's not tracking that I run a flow where there were 10 items in a list. It's just saying you ran the for each element 12 times.
Correct. You ran it. Yeah, you ran this step 19 times. It took I think that's milliseconds. I'd have to, we can just check here. Oh, it's not going to help me. I believe that's milliseconds.
Okay, so it doesn't care about the outcome of this thing. It's more like it matches up to what's in the step toolbox. If I clicked, I don't know.
Yep, you're right on. It's a performance tracker, not a data tracker.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. Then I have one more question. If someone else wasn't waiting before.
No one else has asked. There's one that is emailed in. I'll ask next. So you get to go first.
Okay. So my next question is about external truth tables, and if I'm understanding them correctly.
Okay.
So we have a process that we're going to have that says you pick, say, an administrator for an account. So there's an external system that has a table that says, you know, Eric Wilmerick is EW1, Marie Timothy is MT1, so on and so forth.
Okay.
I need to be able to, within decisions, access the data from that other system. I can export it, but I want to know, is that what a truth table with an external truth table would be? Or is it going to try and reach across and get it from where it lives, if you will, in the other system?
So you have options with an external truth table. So the answer is it could be either. depending on how you develop it. So all an external truth table is, let's create one. Truth table, external truth table. Yep. Is the line item evaluations for the truth table. So every line of the truth table is not sourced by me designing it in decisions. It's sourced from somewhere else. So if we wanted to do similar to, I need some data. Let's do, I don't have data. Let's do account, because I know that data source works. Like I'm gonna run a truth table that evaluates accounts, right?
Okay.
So I'm gonna say if account email, where is it? Whatever verb contains, and let's just do another field, and can log in because it's Boolean. It can use portal is, and then whatever the evaluation is, right?
Okay.
So the way you source the lines into this comes, and the way you source the output data comes from somewhere else, and it's actually a report that runs that you could cache if you want. Now this report can be anything. This report can be an Excel file. This report can be a flow that connects to another system and pulls the data back. So it can be live pulled from the other system. It can be a data table that you've already logged and stored into decisions that someone's modifying from another system. It can be anything. Now, you got to be careful. That's why we have the caching mechanism, because every time someone runs this truth table, it's going to run this report, which potentially runs this flow that connects to a system. So it's kind of some buried logic here. But the idea being, like, say I had an Excel file, right? I would need to actually have an Excel file. I don't have an Excel file, so this isn't going to work. Let's instead, I guess we'll just use our account table. This is a boring example. But you would go craft a flow that returns the three things that your table is looking for. My table is looking for email address, a Boolean of can you use the portal, and a default output data. Now I could just match these up pretty easily because I have those. Oh, I don't have an output result, do I? I'll have to use a fake Boolean. Is active fine. And then these names have to match. So I have to make sure that this field from this sort matches to, oh, what is going on? Oh, my last pass is getting in the way. Shoot, hold on one second. Sorry. Let me, don't look at all my passwords. Just disable it. How do I just disable it? Fine, remove. That's the way to do that. There we go. So this column coming from this source, which again, could be a flow, could be an Excel file, could be anything, matches to this email address contains that my truth table is looking for. Then can use portal matches to can use portal is, and is active matches to the default output data. Once you've mapped all those and see that these are coming from somewhere else, now whenever anyone tries to use this truth table, it's just sourcing it from that report. And again, if that report's external source or whatever. So I never can come in and make changes to the truth table logic. I can never change if it contains ericwhitdecisions.com, but I can go change the account object. So if I'm over here and someone, let's just add a new account, right? Someone adds a new account and calls this Joe. Oh, I need a secure password, don't I? Now, the next time someone runs this truth table, Joe, and I think I'd have to refresh this, or it's cached. So if I close and reopen, it should show it. Joe is now another evaluation in the truth table. So that's the point of external truth tables, is the line item evaluations for your rule are sourced somewhere else. And again, that could be an Excel file, that could be like you said, an external integration, that could be a table. So however you want to set up how that data is sourced, you would do and then write the report on.
Okay, so in this case, in my case, it's probably going to be an Excel file. So I'm assuming that someone is maintaining that Excel file, meaning one person quit, they remove a line. Two people join the team, they only add 2 lines. They're not running the whole thing over and over again, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's the assumption.
Yeah. So the way you'd have to do that is if they're modifying an Excel file, you'd have to build a process that pulls the Excel file, right? So that would still be a flow report source here,
Mhm.
because Jane in accounting goes in and adds a line to the Excel file. Your data source, when someone runs it, needs to go grab that Excel file and source it into this report. And you can do that. You would just do this with a flow report source, which I don't have any.
Okay.
So yeah, it would, just to show you very quickly. Oh no, I broke my report. I know. You would create a flow, and that flow would be a report data source flow. And so this can connect to a network share and pull the file. This could grab it from a service call, whatever it may be. But you'd build the logic here that sources it, and the output would be whatever whatever field you want to send out. So this would be email address and can use portal, right? And then results, rule result, true, false, whatever. That's actually a Boolean. All right. Does that help? Does that make sense at all?
Yes. Is there?
Okay.
I think there's documentation, right?
There should be. There's a ton on external truth tables. If I can just find one. Let me make sure it's actually relevant to your question. Yeah, this. Okay, so no, that you don't care about service settings. You don't care about data sources. I want to know how to create the. Okay, it's down here. Yeah, so check out. Oh, there's actually a pre-built example too. So check out this example, but it walks you through the same exact steps I just did. It's actually probably my example because I see email address on there. But yeah, check. I'll post this in the chat too. Cool. Is that it for today? Yeah, cool. You bet.
That's it for me. Thanks.
All right, Manal, you get 2 questions now, I think, because you sent one in ahead of time that I hadn't answered yet. So let's start with this one. Is there a way to add an Excel report in the? Oh yeah, that's your real question. Okay, is there a way to add an Excel report in the user action or report and then use that data on the form to populate the fields? Okay, to make sure I understand this, my guess is that like you have a page here and some report, right? You want to add some action, like a button at the top or a button on the page, or even like a right-click action that says, add Excel. And like that would give you the opportunity to upload an Excel and have that source into the report, I'm guessing, or to like run a process. So let me read the question very carefully. Build a user action or a report, okay, where user can upload Excel file and all the data can be used on a form to populate fields. So yeah, yes to both. Let me talk through a couple steps, and you can point out or correct me or interrupt me where I may be wrong. Let me just add a new folder here. Sorry, I like to keep my work separate because then I always break things. So yes, so let's first create a flow that does this, because I think this is some interesting steps here. We're going to call this upload Excel. So here, I'm going to create a simple form, and I will actually use simple forms to say like upload Excel, right? All this is going to be is a file upload control where the person can upload a thing and click a done button when they're done. So this file that they upload, let me set some properties here. I don't care how it looks for now. We're going to call this uploaded Excel. It's a button, that's fine. File extension is not valid. We could specify extensions to Excel or CSV, that's fine. And call this please upload your file. Okay. Once we get this file, there's a number of interesting things we can do with it, right? Like we're going to get the file, it's going to come in as file data. Now what? Now there's a number of steps, and I'm going to have to find them, so bear with me for a step. Is it under integration? No. Is it under, I'm just going to find them. Where's all the Excel steps? For each Excel, where do you live? Where do you live? Data, Excel, and CSV. Okay, I should have just looked under the data column. All right, if you go to data, Excel, and CSV, there's a number of steps here that can take this Excel file and do a bunch of different stuff with it. I'm going to highlight a couple, but once we have the file, we can import Excel or CSV. We can, I grabbed the for each one. That one's actually pretty cool. There's list to CSV to list mapping is actually the one I want. CSV to list mapping is a cool step. And I'll stop there for now. But there's these are all documented, so check out the documentation site. But the idea being is we get a form that gives us the file. We're not going to pre-fill that file, and then I can get the data out of the file. Now I can either just import it in and get it as just line items. So I can where's just the output of this? Nope, sorry. There's a way to set what output type this is. I think I have to set the output data type, but you can specify a specific data type. You can output it to just raw line data. You can loop through the lines one at a time and get just the row of it and map it in that way. Or you can pick a defined type in decisions and output it there. So like say I had an Excel file, I'm going to use accounts because that's clearly my jam. But like I can use a step like this and say, take in an Excel file, map it to a decisions object called an account. And this is going to be, you know, Excel accounts. You can have some properties here on what to do with the Excel file, whether you're ignoring rows, whether you're ignoring empty rows, whether you have a specific worksheet. But the output of this is going to be a list of decisions accounts, right? So you get the file, you get the Excel as a list of accounts, and then you can go do whatever the heck you want with it. Like if you want to go update the database and create those in the database so then it updates the report, awesome. You want to push these into another form, which I can do for this easy example. And say pick or create form, create a new simple form, call this accounts from Excel, and maybe put a simple data grid here. I don't like that. Yeah, let's do just the data grid. Boop. Type of accounts. And we're, yeah, I forgot this is the report builder. Let's just show whatever. I don't actually have an Excel file, so I don't know why I'm doing this. But hopefully you're getting the idea, right? Like you build a grid. Did that not save? It did save. Okay. Save, close. Button to be done. Okay. Save, close. But now you do whatever you want with that data. So when a user goes to run this, they provide the Excel file here. It can be from their computer. Again, you have the workflow engine at this point, so you can do whatever you want to go fetch that from anywhere else. But I think the question was, have an action, have them upload the file. They click done. I don't have any Excel files, so if I pick one, it's going to break. Map that to some type, or just get the dynamic like data. You don't actually have to have the formatted Excel. They can do the mapping if they want, and then do whatever you want with the data. So for your question, can we use them the form to populate fields? Absolutely. So like if I say instead of grabbing and getting a whole list of things and mapping it to a data grid, I could grab just the single row and map that to like a label, right? I'll show you this. This one I could build really quick. We'll do 2 labels. So this is going to be, you know, first column text, and then we'll source this here as not static. Boop. Just to prove that I'm not crazy. Yeah, I guess we should do this. There we go. Again, ignoring my terrible flow design. But now you have some properties here, right? So the file is gonna come from whatever they uploaded from the first form. The output of this is whatever the row is. I'm gonna take that row and map it in using like the first field, right? This is a dynamic data type because it doesn't know the spreadsheet before I actually run it. So we're gonna say it's text, loop back. So now I should be able to grab any Excel file on my system, which I may not actually have because I just got a new computer. Okay, I don't know what this is. but it's CSV. Yeah, okay. It's not an Excel file. Fine. Try that again. There we go. So it comes in and gives me the first column, because that's what I grabbed from here, on the first row, and it's called NPS score. And then the next one is a 2, and the next one's a 1, the next one's a 1, the next one's a 1. Anyway, you get the idea. So in short, yeah, it's not terribly hard. You would do it through a flow, and then if you just wanted to add that to a page, again, relatively simple, but if I go to an existing page, like the one we just were messing with, which was under, yeah, here, and edit this. Where are you, page? Where are you, page? Okay, you can add actions to pages that are just flows you've built. So I go find from my, what did I call this? Excel. Here's my flow, run flows button. So now that's a button on my page. You also can add that as a right-click action. It's a little bit harder. It requires a little bit other areas, but now I can click this and it runs that same exact process that I just had. That could then source into the report. You can automatically update the report. So depending on your use case, there's a lot more we could do here, but that's the idea.
Thank you so much. Just one quick question about it. So for example, on the form, so when the user, for example, this report is updated every week, so they will have to put in every single week this report. The user, and they're getting from like a third-party software, Homemade, and then they import, like they put the Excel into decisions, and then all those, like the columns on the form, for example, if it's a car, and if a user goes in on the form, and then they type in, for example, car number Honda. As soon as they type in Honda, it should pull out all the records for Honda from the Excel report on the form. Like it should populate the fields. Does that make sense? Like I'm just
Yeah, sorry, go on.
I'm just kind of confused. Like, so what my business users wanted is like all the Excel have the data about the cars. So the cars have, for example, VIN number, and as soon as the user puts the VIN number, it looks for the data in the Excel and it populates it on the form, auto populates it. So for example, its color, its car number, its number plate, all that information populates from the Excel.
Okay. So are you, when you're thinking of that process, they're going to upload an Excel to decisions weekly and then reference that Excel and all the flows that need to do that process. Is that correct?
Yes, on the main form. So the business user is going to upload the Excel, and then the requester is completely different people who are our users will actually have to go in and fill out the form, and they will have to look for the information. For example, the VIN number. As soon as I put the VIN number, every other field should populate from the
Got
Excel.
it. Oh, okay, cool. That's a little different than this, but I like same premise. I would conceptualize this a little bit different. So let me do this, and this is something actually I would offer also to talk to like our architecture team, because they can help stub this out better than I can with like more complete steps. But here's how I would start conceptualizing it. Let's call this car Excel thingy, because I don't have a better name for it, and I'm sorry. But I would create a data type in decisions that's stored in our database that you can use for this process that would have all of those car features. Just user defined type. So this is just a regular database structure. We'll call this cars. And yeah, like you said, VIN number or WIN number. I don't know. There's number, VIN number, and it would have make and model and year. With all those can be strings. You know, you could have a million fields here, right? Whatever that Excel file contains. But the reason I'm doing this as a database structure is I'd conceptualize this in two processes. The first process would be source my database. Like, so, and that could be all form driven, right? So you could have almost the exact same flow I built, which would be, you know, load cars into DB. And this would be depending on how you wanted to set this up, but like you might clear the table first, you might want to check for differences, whatever. But somehow you'd show a form. You could clear. I would clear the database first. I'd clear the database first, show the form, have the user pick their file, which upload Excel is fine. I would use the list to CSV or CSV to list mapping, right? This is the step I like, which is it takes in your CSV file or Excel or whatever, and puts it into an account. What did I call it? Cars. Oh, did I just call it cars? I think I called it cars. Okay. And then that's going to output a list of cars, right? All cars. Nope. Sorry. All cars. And the input's going to be whatever comes out from my form, uploaded Excel. Then I'm going to store this in my database. So if we go to user defined types, this is a type that I built. This is just a database structure. It's a car, and I will create cars. I only have one. I don't really want to do one at a time. So we can do batch insert. Is it bulk insert? Batch insert. Batch insert entities. Same step, it just takes in a list. So now I go update my cars. Maybe. There we go. And we give it a list of cars, which we get out from this step. So like this is one process that handles my database. You can run this on a schedule and have this be a task for people. You could have this as a button that they click that they then go upload the new car file. But all this would do, and if I have to go create an Excel file. I really want to flesh this out with you. I have 7 minutes. We can do this real quick. Cars. What did I say there was? There was make. It was car make, model. Shoot. VIN. I had VIN first. VIN, make, model year. Yeah. And so we're going to pretend I have VIN numbers. The make's going to be Toyotas. It's fine. Model's going to be Camry, Corolla, 4Runner, Camry. Is that how you spell Camry? I don't think there's an E in Camry. Oh my gosh, I can't type. 2012. Cool. Download. CSV. Cool. I have a cars seat 1 CSV. Awesome. So now this process, if we just test it, should take in my file. I might have to fix, hold on, I didn't finish this step. I know that's not going to work. Sorry. It takes in cars. It's a CSV. I need to map the items into here. Silly. So field 1 on my CSV, that was my VIN number. Oh, I got to build this over here. So that's my VIN. Field 2 was my make. Field 3 was my model. Field 4 was my year. And I just did it as text, even though it's probably not the text. It's okay. Okay, now this should work. And then we insert, make sure it inserted. Yep, that looks good. So now I have a table in decisions that has all of that car data. And I would just have your users, your business analysts, run this flow that would clear the table and resource it from that file every time. It makes it real simple. You add this again as a button or as an action, that's good. Just to make sure I'm not crazy, I'm going to query that table very quickly. Should be capital C.
So will I just use that data structure on the form in order to?
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And then you create another flow that is, car search. This car search would just fetch the cars. And then we could debate design here all day. Oh, I broke my install. No, don't crash. Okay. Okay, fetch entities. If there's no cars, that's fine. But yeah, you're 100% correct. This would connect to your form. Something's slowing down. And then this form would be, car search. And let's do autocomplete. No one uses the autocomplete search box, and more people should.
That is there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, autocomplete's great. It takes in a list of things, like list of cars, and then you have a selected car. And then once you select the car, like I would do more work here with like an active form flow to source the other columns and let them make changes. How do I do this? How do I do this? Oh my gosh, it's been so long. And I need a button at the bottom. Autocomplete search. List of cars, default car. Oh, it's not text though. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different control. No, I thought you could do this.
Will it be not just like a drop down and
Oh
or like
yeah, we can.
text box?
Yeah. We can do like. I thought autocomplete search would have done it for me. Autocomplete. Selected auto list items as list of cars. Selected car. Shouldn't be a text. I think something's bugged here. But I can show you the same type of behavior with a drop down. I think that's a good call. It's actually a list control. Just delete. No, delete. This can be a drop down. There we go. Okay. Type is cars. Display field. We'll display the VIN, but again, this requires better design. But yeah, but then your second process just fetches the cars, sources it into this thing. There's not one pre-selected, and then you'd have a really cool form that would actually so when I type in 1, 2, 3, they click that, it would fill the rest of the form with all the details, right? That would totally work. So the reason I like storing it in our database is because you remove reliance on an external integration to a file, which you could build if you want the more live driven process of being able to pull the file live as part of the flow. Then the first steps I was showing you are better. But by having a separate process like you defined, where I actually have some team loading and managing the data and a separate team leveraging the data, I would just store that in a temporary table and then allow your users to leverage that on your flow design. But again, if you want me to set up a call with an architect, we're more than happy to.
No, that was really helpful. I'm about to build the whole thing. I really, really appreciate your help. Thank you so much. You're so awesome. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome. No problem. I love doing quick prototype stuff like this. This makes me happy.
It's amazing. I call that a rapid implementation. Thank you.
Yep. Rapid prototyping. It's good.
Thank you so much.
Hey, you're welcome. And yeah, we're actually right at time here. It's right at 10 o'clock, and I do have yet another call to jump onto. So, but thank you all for listening. Hopefully you guys got something. And next week's Lunch and Learn will start on Monday back up again. So feel free to join us then. But take care, everyone. Hope you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you next week.